Hello, welcome to RWR Plays TEW2020. This, of course, is our local to global series we are playing as the Random Wrestling Revue, and the game timeline is now deep into 1998. In fact, our next show will be the third anniversary show of our company, and we're going to immediately progress to the end of the current month so we can get to September, and that will be 3 years in game now that we will have covered. As we watch the game load, let's go to our ranking system, and you'll see, first of all, we only got 15 people on this list, and that's because I've effectively decided that we're not going to use Bart or Brad Batten again. They are a one-off kind of influx of talent, and they will not be competing at the third anniversary show. You'll also notice that Bruce Hart, who's not really officially on the roster because he is my avatar and therefore is the sort of promoter and owner of this company, is included on these rankings. That's because now he has had some matches. He and his brother Keith, of course, won the Super Summer Tag Team Extravaganza, which we covered in the last show. If you haven't seen that, please go back and check it out. In fact, go and check out the whole series now. We're very deep into this series, or at least we've had a number of episodes into it. When I say deep, it makes it sound like we're near the end. I don't believe that is the case. I believe that this could go for a very long time yet. So that's currently the ranking system. You will see that there are 4 men on 6 victories currently, which means that I have to make an arbitrary decision about who is going to face Dave Batista for the title next, who's the #1 contender. And I've already decided that it's going to be Buddy Wayne. It's going to be Dave Batista versus Buddy Wayne, the main event of the third anniversary show. I feel like it is the most fitting main event that we've got for the next show, and for given that it's our third anniversary, it just feels like it's the right one to go with. And so, yeah, we are heading very fast towards that third anniversary show. Before we do that, we've actually got to bring in a couple of wrestlers. I already have decided who that's going to be. They are going to be challenging for the tag team titles, and I'll reveal that in a minute. I'm not going to go into it just yet before we actually make that decision. But we have got some other matches set for the third anniversary show. In fact, I've got the full card already planned out. We have got a big grudge match between James Storm and Kid Kaos. Of course, this is where James Storm has promised that if he doesn't beat Kid Kaos, he has to leave the Random Wrestling Revue. We have got that tag team title match that I talked about, Bad Crew against a tag team coming in for a one-shot deal. We have got Northwest Champion Batista against Buddy Wayne, and we've got the sort of grudge match between Bret Hart, not Bret Hart, Bruce Hart and Ekmo, which obviously is the reason why Ekmo turned heel in the first place. And we're going to see Ekmo against Bruce Hart in one of the big matches at this show. Everybody else on the roster will also be involved in a match. So I've pretty much got every single person in the roster who will be taking part in the show, the third anniversary show, which is obviously only right. It's a big event for us, for our company. It's always been a pretty important one, and the fact that we've now gone 3 years in game time through this timeline is pretty exciting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. As usual, the way I'm kind of planning things is no more than just the next show, but I've got ideas in my head for what might come after that. And certainly the show that I want to do after this one is another special type of show, but I won't put pressure on myself to book that on today's episode of this series, because frankly, it started to get to the point where these shows are big enough that actually just booking the one show per episode is probably more realistic. If I can get in a second event, then I will definitely do that. But I at the moment, I can't see that happening. Especially as I like to kind of keep everyone abreast of what's going on in the game world outside of the Random Wrestling Revue. And usually there's a pay per view that's happened on the last day of the month. So we may see that in just a moment now, as the last day of the month ticks over onto Monday, week 1, September 1998. Unfortunately, that's not the case for August. There was nothing major that took place there. Let's just have a look at this news. Bright Batten quits ECWA. I mean, all very well and good, but he's not going to be staying with us either. And Kid Chaos is complaining that was already in. I think that news item was already in the last time. So what we're going to do here, first of all, we're going to release the Battens, because they came in, they didn't really do much, and I did originally believe that we would keep these guys around. Um, but to do a little bit, maybe not for very long, but for a few shows. But I just felt like their performance was so poor in the tag team tournament, and also I want to make some space because I want to bring in a tag team, and that tag team. Oh well, that's that's really scuppered my plans. Should have checked that really before I came online. So I was going to have Rick Martel and Tom Zenk, the Can-Am Connection, appear at the third anniversary show. So Tom Zenk will come. I'm just wondering whether I can get Tito. He will come. So I'm wondering if I do Tito Santana and Tom Zenk as the Can Mex connection. It'll be quite expensive, but that was kind of what I was expecting anyway. I was willing for this to be a loss leader. Um, I think we're going to do it. It's not quite what I was looking for. Um, I only wanted to come in for one appearance. Um, yeah. So let's just see if I can get that down a little bit. So 1400 for Tito, and we're going to try and get Tom Zenk as well. So even though technically this isn't a tag team that actually existed, um, yeah, even though this is a tag team that technically didn't exist in real life, because it was the Can-Am connection was Tom Zenk and Rick Martel, and then Rick Martel and Tito became Strikeforce after Tom Zenk was kind of out of the company. I'm bringing together Martel's two tag team partners into a team. Tom Zenk and Tito Santana will be the Can Mex connection, maybe, or the I don't know. No, it won't be Can Mex, but because Tom Zenk's the American, so it's the Mexican American connection, or maybe the American Strike Force or some American Force. Maybe that's what they're going to be called. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Doesn't really matter what the tag team name is. They could just be Tito Santana and Tom Zenk. Buddy Wayne's got morale issues. I think that's because, oh yes, he was annoyed at getting injured via botch back in July. Hopefully, he won't continue to feel that way for a long time. So we're going to bring in Tom Zenk and Tito Santana to face the tag team champions, Bad Crew. I still think that's a worthy match for the tag team titles. That match is going to take place in 11 days, and I've only kind of progressed one day there. That was a mistake. So we'll sort that out. So yeah, I probably should have checked um, before coming on and recording this episode today that I could sign Rick Martel and Tom Zenk. We've at least got Tom Zenk and Tito. I think that's still fine, as I said. Not overly worried about that. So we've still got a really quite decent show, I think, ahead of us for the third anniversary show. We may lose some money in September, but I am not worried about that too much. Given our financial position is pretty healthy, and I felt like it was right to get in some names for this third anniversary show. It's a big night, so we can complete Tito Santana and Tom Zenk's signings. Um, I did want to just check our finances actually. So we still made a profit in August despite running two different shows. So that's actually even more of a case that we can spend a little bit money on Zenk and Santana and it not be not be actually a particularly big deal. Um, and yeah, I think they're good wrestlers. Before I go any further, I better just no, hang on. God, I thought there was going to be a problem with the game there. I think I will just check that we've got availability on the evening of the show because I don't want to get to the point where we get there and then um, yeah, and then he's suddenly not those two wrestlers are not available. So yes, he's Tito Santana's not available on that Friday, so we're gonna have to move this show to the Thursday, which is we kind of made the decision to do a little while ago to move the shows to Thursday because there's a lot less people wrestling on Thursday. But that now means that Tito Santana will be available for the show. That was what I was worried about. This is interesting though. Some interesting news about Monday Night Raw. So Monday Night Raw ends its run in France, come to an end. Also in Japan or parts of Japan, anyway. Um, Somewhere else in the world as well. Another one in Japan there. Foxtel. I don't know who Foxtel are. I don't know if they're a. Oh, they've got a new slot on Foxtel and a new slot in Japan. So they've. Oh yeah, and one in Mexico, but those things. So they've. It looks like we're all just moving in some of those international markets, different television networks. Larry Zbyszko has been offered a new contract in WCW. Jeff Hardy's moving on from WWF. He's going to be leaving the company in a month. Wonder what that's going to do. Does that mean he's going to go to WCW? Who knows? But anyway, we need to get to this next show, so let's just keep doing that. Just some time, I guess, now for me to ask you if you've been enjoying this series, please give us a like, give us likes, and let us know how you're feeling about the series. You know, if you're really enjoying it, or there's things you aren't so sure about, or maybe, and this is a really key one, there's something I've forgotten. Maybe there was a story I was running at some point in the past, and it's not still progressed, and you're wondering where it's gone. Sometimes it can be quite helpful because do sometimes forget what I was doing in certain key situations. Other times I didn't forget. I just decided to ignore what we were trying to do because that story wasn't going anywhere, and I didn't really see a future for it. But yeah, anything like that, please engage with the show because that always helps us. And it's always nice to hear to speak to people about what they're enjoying about the show and what they're feeling about the show. So it is now time to book the third anniversary show. And we've got a number of matches here that we're going to be putting on. I think we'll start with this one. So it's Sean Stasiak will take on C.W. Anderson in the opening match of the night. Now I can't remember what I decided to do here. I imagine Sean Stasiak's going to go over. Doesn't need to be that long. Sean Stasiak, open match, pinfall, and that'll do. We'll work the crowd as well in that one to get them going. So that's the opener. Then we're going to have an angle with Johnny Grunge, and he's going to come out and say that oh, that's not right. Grunge says that oh, says that he wants tag titles back, needs to find a new partner. Trying out Charlie Haas today. So this is just to explain really the point of this next match. I have Charlie Haas over us on screen because this one is going to be a tag team match. It is Johnny Grunge along with Charlie Haas. They're going to see if they can be tag team partners. They're up against Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan. Um, so this one, I think we'll make it 10 minutes because it's a tag team match, a bit longer. And we're going to have Ace Steel pin, I think they'll pin Johnny Grunge. Make that pinfall finish. So Johnny Grunge is testing out whether Charlie Haas can be a good tag team partner for him, but Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan beat them, potentially scuppering the long-term chances of them being a tag team. So then up next, we're going to have the match between James Storm and Kid Kaos. So as we said, the pre-match stipulation here is that if James Storm loses to Kid Kaos, then James Storm has to leave the Random Wrestling Revue. This is following a match that Kid Kaos won, first of all, as the underdog, and then a second match in which they went to a time limit draw. This one's going to go 13 minutes, and I'm going to have Kid Kaos win. Some of you might be surprised by that, especially given James Storm is a reasonably well-known wrestler and is also, uh, also we've seen that kind of Kid Kaos isn't exactly, you know, fantastic in the ring. But the truth is, well, let's have the angle as well afterwards. So we're going to have an angle here. James Storm, and he's just going to be acting. Storm leaves, sadly, as the crowd sing na na na, hey hey goodbye to him. But the truth here is that I'm not actually releasing James Storm. So it's a little bit of a swerve this. what we're going to do with this, I'm giving away kind of the story, but that's fine because that's the whole point of the way we do this. We're doing this series is that James Storm is going to be back, but he's going to be back under a mask, and he's going to pretend that he's somebody else, that he's a completely different wrestler. And I haven't decided whether or not the fans. I think the fans will know, and everyone will know, but it won't be. It will be all like a little bit suspicion rather than just confirmed to the crowd. Bear in mind, our audience is a kind of family crowd as well, so I feel like this is a story that you can do with that kind of a crowd. And I just thought it'd be an interesting direction for us to go with James Storm coming out of this feud with Kid Chaos. So, yeah, he's going to lose, basically. Kid Chaos is going to win, and James Storm, at least in the eyes of the crowd, is going to be done with this company. After that, we're going to have the match between Bruce Hart and Ekmo. And this one is going to be. I'm going to keep this quite short because I don't think Bruce Hart's really got it. And he's going to win, though. Um, and what's going to happen here is that it's Keith Hart is going to help Bruce Hart win. Um, Bruce Hart's already in it. Keith Hart will. Yeah, I think we'll just do that. So Keith Hart's going to come in and interfere and help Bruce Hart win. The Hart brothers get another victory over Ekmo, and Ekmo's just going to get increasingly frustrated by what's happening in this feud. Then we are going to have the big tag team match. It's going to be Dog and Rose, who you've seen are quite high in the rankings, against Tito Santana and Tom Zenk. No idea if Santana and Zenk can actually work together as a team, but we're going to try anyway. And we are going to have the Bad Crew win this, which was always going to be the case. Tom Zenk will lose. Yeah, that's what we're doing with this one. Tom Zenk is extremely unhappy. I don't mind trying to protect him if he's willing to be protected. If not, I will just say, forget it then, mate. Like if you don't want me to keep you strong and protect you, okay, he's happy with that. So yeah, Bad Crew are going to defeat Tito Santana and Tom Zenk. We don't need to give them a tag team name, I don't think. I think it's fine. Although I will check that they're both baby faces, which they are, both old school baby faces as well. And then it's the main event, which I'm not expecting a lot from, actually. Dave Batista versus Buddy Wayne. Buddy Wayne's not been absolutely fantastic. I think I'll make it just 12 minutes for the RWR North West title. And Batista is going to retain. In this one. I'm also going to prepare Batista for a babyface turn. Um, so I don't actually know if I'm going to turn Batista yet. I'm not absolutely certain, but I've been looking through the rankings and I've been looking at it going, look, there are not many baby faces due up in terms of the top ranked competitor, and like I'm running out of babyface opponents for him, and we don't really want to do too many heel matches. So I really need to start pondering whether Batista needs to turn babyface. I'm not going to turn him babyface on this show, but it's just a kind of a potential future-proof plan for him. The other thing I was going to do was look at the storylines because I think we're going to move some of this stuff around. So I think we will end the Bad Crew entered the RWR storyline now because Johnny Grunge is not really interested in Bad Crew anymore. He just wants to get back as a tag team. We've got the Buddy Wayne Dave Batista feud, which is exactly why we put this in place so that we could service this main event at some point. This is ended as well, but I may just keep it in place for another month. That's still going. That will be going, and that's finished too, I think. So I'm going to end that storyline. But I think there was a new storyline I was looking to put in place. Uh, hang on. Maybe not. No, there wasn't a new one I was putting in place. The only real new story we've got is the Johnny Grunge trying to find a tag team partner story. But I don't think we need to make an actual song and dance of that in terms of the story. So that is the show. 4th anniversary show. Some big matches, some big names, and let's see what we get from this one then. So, in front of 88 people, Sean Stasiak versus C.W. Anderson is how the night begins. A match that goes for 8 minutes and 14 seconds and is won by Stasiak by pinfall. He has an in-ring performance of 33, C.W. Anderson at 26. That's not bad. Segment rating of 31 is pretty decent. Keith Hart not the best road agent, and that's again I've got to make a note because this is what I'm going to do ahead of the October show is bring in a better road agent. I think that's really high on my list of priorities. Then next up we have Johnny Grunge coming out and talking about the fact that he wants the tag team titles back. Rocco Rock may have gone, but he's still looking to keep the flame alive and wants to go back after the titles, but he needs a new partner. And so today he's going to try out Charlie Haas to see how they get on as a tag team. Segment rating here just of 19, but Johnny Grunge did improvise well. The match then, not bad. Ace Steel and Barry Buchanan win when Ace Steel pins Johnny Grunge in 10 minutes and 15 seconds. Johnny Grunge and Charlie Haas showed excellent chemistry teaming together. So that's interesting because I wasn't considering at all this being a permanent fixture. But given that they've got some really good chemistry, that might be something we should think about. Charlie Haas was off his game and he had an in-ring performance of just 23. Johnny Grunge was a 28. Barry Buchanan a 31. Ace Steel a 32. Ace Steel is in a really good place at the moment. A segment rating here of 29 and a really decent match this one as well. Then we had James Storm versus Kid Kaos to sort of wrap up their feud. The match, of course, the pre-match stipulation being that James Storm, if he lost, would have to leave the Random Wrestling Revue. Kid Kaos wins in 12:57 with a fast roll-up. To the surprise of everybody, James Storm gets the victory. Kid Kaos was off his game and had an in-ring performance of just 16. And I'm afraid, Kid Kaos, this is why I'm booking you weekly, because you're just not good enough. James Storm, meanwhile, had an in-ring performance of 30, which is really impressive. A segment rating overall of 24. Not the best, but not terrible. After the match, James Storm is beaten and leaves, sadly, with his head hung as the crowd sing na na na, hey hey, goodbye to him. And this one gets a segment rating of 28. As I say, this is not the end of James Storm in the Random Wrestling Revue, merely a way of getting him into the next thing we want him to do. Then we have Bruce Hart versus Ekmo in a continuation of this feud. Bruce Hart wins in 6 minutes and 32 seconds by pinfall following interference from Keith Hart. Bruce Hart had an in-ring performance of 18, Ekmo a 24. Yeah, not the best. Bruce Hart was very tired towards the end, and his gimmick is still getting stale. I must make a note of that to change his gimmick because I keep forgetting and I keep getting that note. Segment rating of 23, not the best, but was never expected to be that great, to be honest. Then the match for the tag team title, and it's an excellent, excellent match. It had fantastic heat and good wrestling. The Bad Crew defeated Tito Santana and Tom Zenk in 11:05 when Rose pinned Tom Zenk. Bad Crew make defense number one of the RWR North West Tag Team titles. Tito Santana carried the match, a 59 in-ring performance. Tom Zenk at 38. Dog and Rose still only 20 and 22. Tito Santana's old face, school face gimmick has gotten an initial rating of very good. Tom Zenk very poor. Doesn't matter because neither of them will be used again. Tom Zenk seemed off his game, and Dog was visibly tiring towards the end. A segment rating of 40. I think this is the best match we've ever had in the company, and that's why I spent the money on bringing in Tito Santana and Tom Zenk. They did a great job. And Bad Crew get a really, you know, I don't know what the word is. I guess reputation enhancing victory over two kind of legendary, or at least Tito Santana being legendary performers. And then to the main event, which was not obviously anything compared to the match before that. This one for the RWR North West title, and Batista defends successfully in 12 minutes and 20 seconds. Batista makes defense number 4 of the RWR North West title, and Buddy Wayne misses out on regaining a belt that he first held 3 years ago. Batista actually seemed off his game here, so still only had an in-ring performance of 27. We know he's a little bit capable of more than that. And Buddy Wayne just a 24. Not a bad match overall, though, a 29, and it's a decent way to end the show. An overall rating for the show of 30, but nothing obviously compares to that tag team match with the Bad Crew defending their Northwest tag team titles. Now, in terms of the speech, I'm going to give James Storm pointed out as a good example for losing and not getting upset about losing. I think Ace Steel deserves some compliments for continuing to be a very good performer in the company. And I also think we're going to give some compliment to, I think it needs to be Sean Stasiak for another good performance from him. And that wraps up the third anniversary show. I thought a decent show. One that, as I said, we had the really good tag team match. Let's just have a look at the news here. Tom Zenk and Tito Santana gone, which is fine. That's what we expected. And in terms of our size, is still 9, but we're happy with that. Top 100s though. That was the third best show we've ever done, behind only the Lottery Brawl and the May the Earth Stood Still. And in terms of matches, that was now our best ever match. Bad Crew defeated Tito Santana and Tom Zenk. So you can see we've brought in Santana, Zenk, and Roddy Piper in the last sort of 6 months on sort of very, very temporary deals, and they have done the business for us in terms of the best matches in company history. So we've got to be very happy with that. Batista's now has successfully defended this title 4 times and has retained the belt. So we'll have at least one more defense of the belt, depending on what happens going forward. As I say, my plan is, if I'm honest, to keep Batista in this role as champion for a while, but it might rely on him becoming a babyface, which is why I've set that in motion as well. And yes, Dog and Rose successfully defended their title for the first time, and I think likely the prestige has gone up because of the quality of that match. That's pretty good. Um, and so yeah, we're going to be moving on to what's next for this company, and kind of a new year basically. So let's proceed to the end of the current month. Now, in terms of what's coming next, I did say I had an idea for what the next show was going to be, and it's going to be another theme show, and this one's going to be called Luck of the Draw. Not to be confused with the Lottery Brawl. The Luck of the Draw is going to be a series of matches that are randomly drawn to take place. So it's a match where there'll be nothing that is announced ahead of time, but there will be a tag team match for the tag team titles, a match for the Northwest title, a 6-man tag match, and 2 other singles matches. And each one of these matches will be drawn on the night. So this is the one time, sorry, in the calendar where the number one contender doesn't, or the person who gets the title shot, sorry, doesn't have to be the person with the best and most number of points. So it'll be drawn from everybody else in the roster to face Dave Batista. And as I said, the tag team titles will also be on the line, as that will be randomly drawn too. And so will all the other places on the show. The idea is that everybody will be taking part, but um, but the matches will be randomly drawn. So that's the idea of Luck of the Draw. It's going to be we're looking to establish it as another annual event on the calendar, so long as we've got space for it. And I'm just worried now that we have an annual event already set up for October, but we'll find out in a minute, I guess. But that's the idea, and the reason I wanted to do this, I've wanted to do this anyway. This has always been something on my mind as I'd like to. This is an event that I'd like to kick off. But the reason specifically I want to do it now is that we are in this situation where after that event, Buddy Wayne, who had 6 wins alongside three heels. Well, all 3 of those heels, Barry Buchanan, Dog and Rose, all won, so they're on 7 points now, which is more than any other babyface. I think Sean Stasiak is up to 6; he's a babyface, and Johnny Grunge is also on 6. Sorry, no, Johnny Grunge is on 5. Sorry, James Storm is on 6. No, James Storm lost as well, and he's also, that's right, we've written him out. So actually, James Storm's out of the thing, but nevertheless, Sean Stasiak's the next guy beneath those 3 heels. So if I was going to go with the next show having a match where the champion fought the number 1 contender, it would have to be heel versus heel based on the rules of our ranking system. So I needed a way to kind of skip those rules, and this is the way. This has always been the way in my mind that we would do that, and so that's what we're going to do next. Who's going to get that title shot? I haven't yet decided, and this is the reason why I don't know exactly if or when I'm going to turn Dave Batista heel, because there are options in terms of potential number 1 contenders for at least this show and possibly even one after that, depending on what I do in the other matches. So I've got probably a way around it for a little bit anyway. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to be careful and maneuver around the ranking system a little bit to try and get, as I said, this first of all this randomized title match, but then also to get one of the baby faces in a good position to take him on after that. I think as we are now over the 30-minute mark, we'll stop right there as the game continues to load towards October the 1st. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again next time. Until then, take care.